Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast. My name is Coach Scott. I'll be your host today. Guys, I got a great show for you today. I got a great guest. Going to bring him on in just a moment. Been trying to bring this guy on for a couple weeks. Totally my fault why we haven't been able to do an interview. Ellie's been sick. She's had the flu, and it's just been trouble finding time, nice quiet time to sit down and have a chat. But we're going to do that today with our guest today. Again, I'm going to bring him on in just a minute. As always, you can find this and the back episodes of our podcast at our website, ordinarymarathoner.com. Check that out if you get a chance. You can also find us at the aggregators, places like Stitcher, TuneIn, iTunes, Google Podcasts, all that good stuff. You can find us at all podcast disseminators, I believe. There's a couple I think that we're missing, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work getting this out there, getting the word out there. We're doing it though. We're doing it. Having a great start, by the way, to 2019, or excuse me. Way to screw that up, right? 2020. But we're going to talk about that in the next couple of days when we do our solo podcast. We're going to bring you up to speed on how things are going in the new year. It's going pretty good, though. I got to say, I'm going to admit it. We're doing pretty good. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. I haven't caught the flu. Here I go. I just jinxed it. Right here I go. I'm going down. Check out our YouTube page as well. We got all the podcasts going up on the YouTube page. I'm working on a new angle today. I got the camera in front of me. This is not an in-person interview. It is a Skype interview, but I think we can kind of figure out some kind of way we can do a little dual screen. I don't think I can. I don't have the chops yet to get my guest on the video, but we'll get his audio up. We'll get him maybe get a nice little picture of him in the side. I don't know. I'm working on it. If it doesn't work, I'm sorry. I apologize, but hopefully it works. But check out the YouTube channel, all that good stuff. Hit that subscribe button. Those subscribe buttons really help us out. Leave those reviews. They really help us out too. All that good stuff. Really like engaging with the audience as well. So anytime you have a comment, leave it in the comment section and we'll talk about it. We'll discuss. Lots of good things going on, guys. We got the Ordinary Marathon full swing. We are planning like crazy. We're almost done with the medal design. I'm going to have that out, and then we're going to put out some potential t-shirt designs. Want you guys to vote on them. And we'll get some really cool t-shirts together this year. I cannot be trusted. Cannot be trusted with t-shirts, guys. So you guys have let that be known, and I will be leaving it all up to you in the coming year for sure. So go to ordinarymarathon.com, register for the race if you haven't already. Use that coupon code ordinary. It'll get you $5 off the registration. So I think normally it's $30 and it'll go down to $25. If you don't know what the race is all about, hey, check out the video from last year's race, the 2019 Ordinary Marathon video on YouTube. A lot of people have watched it. Check it out. I mean, you guys could be in that video next year. You could be in it. You'd be movie stars. You'd be YouTube sensations overnight. We'd love that to happen. But, yeah, I mean, look how much fun we had. We raised money for a great charity, the Sam Fund, and we're going to be doing it again this year. So the race dates are off the top of my head, May 8th through May 17th. A lot of us are going to Atlantic City for the Rock and Roll Atlantic City Half Marathon on May 16th. That's a Saturday, 6 p.m. race, which is a little crazy, but we're going to be doing that. So, get involved. We also have our 5K. That's going to be on May 9th. That is Saturday, May 9th. And it's part of the, if you're registered for the Ordinary Marathon, you're registered for the 5K. If you're registered for the 5K, you're registered for the Ordinary Marathon. So you can do one or both or either or whatever, however it works out. So we got lots going on. Team Ordinary also, check out teamordinary.com. A lot of you guys getting your races done. We're going to talk more about that in the solo podcast this week as well. So lots going on. Lots. It's all over the place. We're all over the place, but it's all good. It's all good. We're moving forward. Little steps, baby steps. Training is kicking my butt lately too, but it's good. It's a good thing. I'm back in the swing of things. Anyway. All right. With that, let's bring in our guest for today. He runs a bike store. A bike shop. What's the proper vernacular? Bike store, bike shop? I don't know. We're going to ask him. Up in New Hartford, New York. It's the Trek store of New Hartford. Jason Remington, welcome to the show, Jason.
How you doing today?
Doing really well. How about yourself?
Oh, pretty darn good. Really happy to be here.
Now, is it local bike shop or local bike store, or does it really matter?
I guess you could call it a shop. I mean, we're a full-fledged shop. We do service and sales, so I would just say shop, I guess.
Yeah. My friend Matt Shore, who was a prior guest on the podcast a few months ago. By the way, Matt, social media presence is huge. I think it was one of the most watched podcasts that we did. So he said to me, I know this guy, Jason, he runs a bike shop, and you got to have him on. You got to talk to him. So here you are. What do you say about that? Matt must be a pretty good friend.
He is. He's a really good guy. He's helped me out a lot. We swap back and forth with just kind of, I guess you could say, kind of coaching each other and how to live life. I guess, he motivates me. I motivate him. I think anyways, but, he's been a really good friend. Like I said, he's helped me out a lot. We're in new shops. So, of course, payroll is awful hard sometimes, and he's definitely coming in and
he
just
works cheap.
Oh yeah. He's definitely cheap. Of course, he always wants his bike parts right away, but who doesn't? So in that, he's nice. Like any other customer, but
yeah, he's a good dude. He's helped me out a lot too.
Definitely. Yeah. He's a really good guy, and he works really, really hard. Yeah. Super good family guy. So yeah, I can't say anything bad about him. That's for sure.
Right. We could if we wanted.
I suppose we could come up with something. He does come in and drink all my beer, but other than that, he has replaced it though, so that's okay.
Nice. So, I kind of wanted to break down. I guess we'll give it a little outline for the show, because I wanted to talk about you personally and your sort of like how you got into cycling and the things that you've done and the races you've done. Because I know you have a pretty good background. You've opened the shop recently, right? It's been like so it's recent. So, I mean, I kind of want to talk about that time sort of in your life before you got involved with the shop and what made you kind of go into the shop. And then what I think would be really beneficial to our listenership is after that, let's get into, we're a running podcast, Ordinary Marathoner. But, I started dabbling in triathlon a little bit, started getting into bicycles a little bit, and it's kind of addicting, So we've been doing a lot, as you know. And, so we've been doing a lot when it comes to, I'm doing a lot of cross training when it comes to my running, doing a lot of work on the bike. And a lot of people are asking questions like, how do I get started in cycling? What do I do? So, I think after we started sort of talk about you and your background, that maybe we can get into some parts about, how other people, newbies, would get involved with cycling. Does that sound like a good plan? Fatally. All right. So let's start. How'd you start cycling?
All right. Well, really, my father got me into it. He was a below the knee amputee. He still is. I mean, he's still alive. I talk about him like he's dead, but he's very much alive. So I don't think he's dead. But he got me into it when I was very young. I can't really put an age on it, maybe 5 or 6. I had an old Schwinn single speed, with the banana seat on it, the wrapper handlebars, like the typical 70s bike. And coaster brake and all. And, me and my brother, we used to race around the house. Of course, he's exactly 2 years older than me. He actually does all of our marketing for the shop, by the way. So if you see anything on our page, it's probably 90% done by him. But he used to, ride around. We used to race around the yard on our bikes, and he invited all of his friends, which of course were older than me, and they used to absolutely destroy me. We had about a 1 acre yard, and they would put a lap on me in 2 laps. So, but my dad got me into it. And it's really been a love ever since. And I started racing in 2007. At the Black Fly Challenge, which is actually put on by a friend of mine, Ted Cristodaro, who owns Pedals and Pedals up in Inlet, New York. And it's an awesome race. I've been doing that ever since. But it was a humbling experience. I went into a shop and I bought my first real ever bike in late 2006. It was a Specialized stump jumper, actually. And I thought I was, I'll just say hot shit. I thought, I really did. I show up with this what I thought was fancy bike. You think a $2,000 bike is fancy when you don't know anything about bikes, really.
I think it's fancy.
Oh yeah, I mean, it really kind of was. So I used to ride. And you can't see me now, but I'm putting it in quotes. I used to ride. So I would ride. Maybe 2-3 times a week. And I thought that was a ton. But, of course, now I find out, years later, that, people ride every single day, sometimes twice a day. But I didn't know that back then, so I just rode my bike around and I thought I rode hard. And I showed up at this race, so I'm just kind of watching everybody show up and, they have these fancier
for
looking
context,
bikes.
how old are you at this point? Like how, if you don't mind me asking?
Let's see, '07. I'd be about 23,
Okay.
22,
So you're
23.
a
Yeah.
young guy. You're showing up at this
Yeah.
race. You figure I got this.
It was a pretty big race at the time. I mean, really, there was about 250 to 275. Since then, the race has grown exponentially. Now they have almost 1,000 people sign up. But back then it was a smaller race, but still there was a lot of fast guys there. So I show up with this bike, and I started, I think, like the second row back, which I had no business being that far up front. So I'm looking at all these guys, and they got, matching kits, and they got, their shoes are matching their helmet and crap like that. I'm like, yeah, all right, well, these guys can't be that fast. I'll hang with them at least for, to the midpoint, and maybe I'll lose them. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll win this thing. I'm thinking, overall, of course, I'm full of myself. I'm young, I was like, oh, this is awesome. So I get 10 miles into the race, and I'm hammering, right? I'm totally hammering. I only have 2 bottles on my bike. And, I run out of the water, in my first bottle in like the first 10 miles. And I started kind of feeling a twinge in the back of my leg. And I'm like, oh, whatever. I've never felt this before. All of a sudden, like literally just full blown cramps at mile 15. Yeah. And this is a 40-mile race, mind you, with a decent amount of climbing. I mean, it's a gravel event. It's not a mountain bike race.
But that makes it harder.
Gravel. Oh yeah, absolutely, and it's about 2,700 feet of climbing or so, which once again isn't a lot, but it's all kind of in one spot though,
right?
So there's kind of like light rolling hills, and then all of a sudden it nails you, and you go up this kind of like light mountain range. So I'm going up this hill, and like I said, I just I'm
cringing at what's going to happen next. I'm like,
oh my god, so literally I'm running up the hills.
Now, are you competing or you're already out? It sounded like you were like going to like say, oh, I was out. But are you competing?
I was still, I mean, it's like I said, there was 250 people in the race. So I was still, I mean, there's still people all around me.
Right.
Okay.
So you're not like dead last or nothing, like they're leaving in dust.
Oh, God, no. I mean, there's old ladies that do it on beach cruisers, for God's sake. So, I would hope.
But still, I mean, they could still, I've seen some of them race.
Oh yeah, they're not slow, some of them. So I'm running up this hill, and all of a sudden, literally full leg lock. Like my right leg just totally locked up. I couldn't run. I certainly couldn't bike. And so I'm like, well, how am I going to finish this race? Now I'm just, it's survival mode.
Right.
So for the next 25 plus miles, I literally just kind of like jogged and rode really light. I think I had a time of over 3 hours, which now is like super slow. So it was just a horrible experience.
So and after that, you're hooked.
I was, though. That was the thing, is I was like, I can't wait to do the next one. So literally 2 weeks later, I signed up for this race in Salamanca, New York. Now, you might know where that is.
No, I'm not. I know kind of. I grew up in New York, but like down closer to the city, Long Island and Westchester counties. But
okay, all right. So it's south of Rochester.
Okay.
So it is Western New York. It's basically southwestern New York. And so I signed up for this because my old college roommate, he goes, well, because he kind of got me through college cycling too. I should probably touch on him a little bit too, but he got me kind of, my father got me into it, but then I kind of got into cars and, in high school. And then my college roommate got me into it. So my college roommate calls me up. And he asked me to do this other race 2 weeks after this initial start inside racing, which was that Black Flag Challenge horrible event. So we do this raccoon rally out in Salamanca, New York. And so, I started off in sport because I was like, well, I don't feel like I'm a beginner because I got this fancy bike and I ride, once again, I didn't think I was hot anymore, hot stuff. So, I was like, I'm going to do this sport race. So, we both sign up together and we start this race and we get there and there's just like all these cars. And I'm like, oh my God, once again, I'm like, what did I sign up for? This is insane. But it was about to get a lot worse. So, we start this race. It's in a grassy field and literally the grass is like a foot high. And so we're sprinting off to start. And of course, I didn't know anything about, tire pressures now that I know now. There wasn't tubeless back then. Tubeless was, I don't even know if it was even thought of.
Probably not an idea, right?
Oh, right. Exactly. Might have been an idea at that time, but it wasn't out. Nobody was using it, obviously, and it wasn't widespread. There wasn't anything as called Stan's No Tubes. That company didn't exist. So, I got 40 PSI on my tires, and, we're going through all these rock gardens and crap, and I'm just absolutely getting my butt kicked. I mean, totally getting killed. So I'm racing. It was a 2-lap race, and I think it was like 10 miles a lap, as I remember, or something like that. So we get to the end of the first lap, right? And if you could just put yourself in my shoes real quick. So you're coming over the top of a hill, right? You're on top, and you're coming over the hill. You got 2 pine trees on each side, all right? And you're cresting this hill. You're coming over the other side, going down, and all of a sudden, all you see is snaking helmets left and right. So you're seeing some helmets go right, some helmets go left. I saw a bike flipping end over end. So this was my first time looking at this course. So I'm coming over the top, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And then you get to the point where you actually see where the riders are riding, and you literally see a line of photographers, and not like 2 or 3, but like 15 photographers all lined up at the bottom of the hill with their nice SLR cameras, just shooting right at the top. And so I see these line of guys at the bottom and these snaking helmets, and this bike, it's just cartwheeling end over end down the hill. And I'm like, oh my God, what is this? So I come to find out it's called the Boca Ski Hill, and it's literally a double black diamond downhill. Literally, I'm not kidding. That's literally what it is. And so I'm going down this thing, and the rut, and there's a rut in it that's probably a foot deep and probably 2 feet wide. And if you got out of this rut, you literally just like went flying. I mean, it was probably I'm not even kidding. It was probably negative 25% grade. I mean, it was ungodly steep. I mean, my butt was on the back tire. I was just hanging off the back of this thing. And so literally my first lap, of course, I crashed. My front wheel hit one of these ruts, and I just went flying. My bike goes flying into a whole bunch of pricker bushes.
Did you get a good picture, though?
I didn't. No, I didn't. No, I was just like, I was scared. I really was. I was like, I have no business being here. I don't even know where I am. I'm in
I don't
South
blame you, man.
New York. I'm in a place called Salamanca, New York, on an Indian reservation, for God's sakes. And so it gets worse. So I crash. I'm going down the hill, and I do my lap, and my parents, of course, who go to all my races. Sometimes they're sad. I have won races that they haven't gone to, and that's even worse. But so I go. My parents are cheering me on, and I'm literally, Scott, I'm dead last. I'm DFL. You know what DFL means? I don't have.
I know that.
Yeah, DFL.
It's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah. Oh my God. So I'm just starting the second lap, and so I'm going up this grassy hill again, starting my second lap, going up and up and up and up this hill, and so I go to reach, because at that time I wore a Camelback.
Okay.
So
right.
and I had this. I used Powerade. I didn't know anything about racing. It tasted good. It was fruit punch, whatever. Yeah, so I'm climbing up this hill. And I go to reach for my straw.
Yep.
Nothing.
Empty.
My bite valve had, maybe something happened in the crash or something, but my bite valve malfunctioned, and all of my Powerade was now gone. Ugh. So I literally have it all down my leg, and it's blood red. Literally, it's blood red, this stuff. It's red as can be. So it's literally running all down my shorts, down the left side of my leg or right side. I can't remember. It's kind of irrelevant. But it was running down one of my legs. And so, of course, I'm cramping again, because I have nothing to hydrate myself. Right. I rode once again, quotation marks, I rode, but I didn't ride a lot. And so I cramped because, of lack of fitness and lack of Powerade. So I finished, and so make this, of course, I get down the Boca Ski Hill, this time fine. I was riding my brakes.
You're improving. That's what I like to see.
I get to the end. Oh, yeah, exactly. I was improving. I actually didn't die on the second lap. So the kicker to this whole race, I get to the end.
Yeah.
And I was so far in the DFL zone that they actually had the kids race going. So I was literally the last guy to finish, and I come around the corner, and these kids come around the corner of a different, of this little kids circuit. And I literally finished with a bunch of I'm not even kidding, 5 to 8 year olds.
That would be awesome. The finisher pick would be awesome.
Oh yeah. And I come in with all these kids crossing the line. And here I am, a 23-year-old guy. I got Powerade all over my leg. And my mom comes running out screaming, "We need an EMT over here." And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this is crazy. So I come across the line, totally DFL. My mom's hysterical. I got an EMT literally running over to me. And I go, no, I'm okay. It's just Powerade. And the guy just turns around, he laughs at me, and he just walks away. It was absolutely humiliating.
Yeah, you gotta love moms.
Oh my gosh. I do. I love her to death, but she loves to overreact too. She's a mother, total mother. She sees this blood all over her son, and he's DFL by 20 minutes. And oh my God, that was just insane.
And yet you still came back.
I did, and I continue to do that same Black Fly challenge every single year since then. Every single year, I've done it every single year since 2007, and I've typically gotten better. I'm over that whole cramping thing now. I haven't cramped up in probably 5 or 6 years. Now that I actually use a supplement. I've jumped around supplements, company to company.
Are you an F2C?
I am not. I have never used F2C, so I can't say anything good or bad about it.
I just know that Matt is. Matt is pretty dedicated F2C guy.
Oh, definitely. He's told me about it, and he has brought. I can't remember. I don't know any of their products. Like I said, I don't know anything.
Yeah, they have a lot of drinks. It's like all drinks usually.
Yeah, and he brought this stuff into me one time, and he had me drink a whole glass of it, and it was this stuff. And after I got done drinking, and he said something about you're going to feel like a buzzing inside of you or something like that, and I was like. And I just kind of looked at him. I go, I don't want to drink anything that makes me have a buzz. And he goes, no, not a buzz. He goes, you're going to feel a buzzing inside of you. And I'm like, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about, dude. But no, he does. He lives, for the F2C brand. And, like I said, I don't have any experience with them. I'm a Scratch Labs guy, which, of course, a lot of people are going to say, oh, no way, that's full of sugar and all that kind of stuff. But,
when each his own, as a running coach myself, I know I've gone through tons of different race cycles and training cycles. I try different things, and some of it works for me and some of it doesn't. And you know what? The same thing might not work for me. It works for somebody else. It's it's very personalized. I find the nutrition thing. It's all
it is,
and your best bet is just to try as much as in that training cycle for runners. When you're doing your long runs, you get out there. Every time you do a long run is another chance to to test. So,
absolutely, and it's always good to try. Yeah, everybody tries different things, and it's always good to try different stuff during your training.
Exactly.
I have people that come in, they're like, oh, I'm going to try this during a race. And I'm like, wait, did you say try and race in the same sentence? I'm like, no, you try it during, weeks out from your race to see if it actually does anything for you. And if it does, use it race day if you want. But you always want to try it way beforehand. So like I said, I used to be a hammer guy, and I thought hammer worked for me, but it really didn't. But I'm not saying anything bad about hammer. A lot of people love hammer. But right now I use a lot of First Endurance products. I feel like their stuff does work for me. Yeah. And of course I use Scratch Labs as well for my really, really hard races, like not long events, but like something under like an hour and a half. I'll use Scratch just because it gives me that like sugary jolt that I need. I wouldn't use it in like a 6-hour or 24-hour mountain bike race.
Might kill your stomach.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely get you sour stomach. But like I said, during my really hard efforts, it works really well because it is kind of sugary, and it's almost like a gel inside of your bottle, if you will. I don't know if that's a good.
I actually know someone who takes the gels and they squeeze it into their water bottle and they mix it around, and I'm like, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, my dad does that, and he likes it. So I don't know. Maybe there's something. Yeah, maybe there's something to it. I don't know. But
you got to experiment.
It wouldn't be. Exactly. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. Like I said, don't experience it or experiment during your races, folks. Like, don't do that because
Right.
you'll be really upset with yourself.
Are you more a mountain bike like gravel guy, or are you more do you do road races as well?
I am just a mountain bike guy. I used to do road. I think my last actual road race where I actually competed was in '09. It was the Canal Classic in Ilion, New York, and that was my real last road event. Now I just focus on mountain biking. Mountain biking is a challenge to me each and every lap. So even if you pre-rode the course a day or a week or a month ahead of time, the course is going to change in that period of time. So you might even ride it the day before and it might be dry, and then it might rain overnight and all of a sudden the track is slick. So you might have to change your tires up. You might have to even ride a different way. And like I said, I've been in races where it started out dry and halfway through the damn race, it starts absolutely pouring buckets. And you're like, well, what am I going to do now? So you just kind of have to, and it's the same for everybody. And another thing I like about mountain biking is it's really you against the course. It's actually kind of, I could relate it to almost to an Ironman, even though I haven't done an Ironman. So once again, I have no experience. I don't want people to think I am an Ironman because I am not. But it's you versus the course. Unless you're going for the absolute podium position in your category, it's going to be a personal best type of thing for most people doing Ironmans.
Right.
I can kind of relate that to mountain biking where, off the start, you're racing people, but it gets spread out almost like an F1 race. So once again, it's kind of you versus the course, and you'll see people up ahead of you and you'll hear people behind you. There's nothing like a mountain bike race where you hear ghosts behind you. I can't tell you how many competitors I've talked with, and you'll be racing and you're actually alone, but you'll hear a stick break and it's actually your back wheel running over a stick. And you look behind you and you're like, oh my God, the guy's catching me,
Yeah, no one there, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. So you hear a lot of ghosts.
Right.
But that's the thing about mountain
kind of
bike.
Unique, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like you against the course. So that's what I really love about mountain bike racing, is just that aspect of it.
I got to tell you, I kind of stayed out of athletics for a few years, or for maybe a decade at least after college, probably even longer than a decade. But I finally started getting back into it. I started with running, and then I started kind of just dipping my toe in a little bit with triathlon. Actually, I didn't dip my toe. I went right for the Ironman. What am I talking about? But, but I started cycling, and, not having ridden a bike in years, one of my biggest fears is falling. Knock on wood. I don't even want to say it. I'm not going to say it because, it'll be bad. I'm superstitious, but
I hear you there.
So if I'm scared, to crash on the road, I can't even fathom doing some of the mountain biking. You see some of these videos of these psychos. I don't know if you're one of them.
I'm not. I'm more of a speed guy. I don't really like to be more than 5 feet off the ground. So,
right. But watch them balance on mountain, on ridges and stuff like that. I'm like, unbelievable. But I get so nervous if the terrain, and I don't know how much those, obviously if I'm riding a road bike, those things probably have no business on anything but a road. To take a road bike onto a gravel course would be ridiculous. But, I'm sure it handles differently, but even watching you guys, it's sort of like what happened to me with skiing. I used to ski all the time. I say it all the time. When I was a kid, I would ski down the hill and you go right to the lift. So you get right back up. Now as an adult, I ski down the hill. I'm just happy I made it there in one piece, and I'm good. Then I go to the lodge.
After that, I'm in the chalet, drinking beer at the bar, and going, all right, maybe in an hour I'll go back up.
Exactly.
Oh, I used to be a big snowboarder, and that really, really did damage to my body. It really did. All those, because I of course I tried the tricks and everything. I used to hit jumps and oh my God, it absolutely, wrecked me. Absolutely wrecked me. I have back problems now, I have shoulder problems, and I can say that has a lot to do with snowboarding. That's for sure. It was rough.
Now you mentioned that one crash that you had in what it sounded like your second race, or the one that you DFL'd. But has there been others, or are you've pretty confident? Have you ever had or do mountain bike riders in general have that fear, or is it just something that you kind of deal with? I mean, not that I've overcome with road racing, but I can't worry about it obviously when you're out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's something you just kind of deal with. I mean, I've done a lot of races since then. I mean, those were my first two. I race several races a year, mountain biking, and I think one of my worst crashes was in the 2014 Mountain Bike World Cup in Windham. It was actually not even racing. I was pre-riding the course the day before. So me and my buddy Dave Peters, who went there with me, and we were gonna do the race the next day. We were just pre-riding. We were just out, just checking out the course. It was bone dry, dusty course. I mean, it was just, you would do one lap and you were just covered in dust, not mud or anything, but just dust. And so I remember we did the whole course, and the Windham course, to give you an idea, it's about a 2,000-foot climb, and then you descend down the other side. So that was it was an Olympic cross-country race course. It was the same course that Nino Schurter and Julian Absalon and those guys were literally racing on the day after. So it was the Olympic level. So the steepness of this thing was ungodly. Like, going up was just relentless, and then you were totally gassed at the top, and then you go down the other side and it's just like these super, super sketchy, really long, steep rock gardens, like boulders. I mean, huge rocks. Yeah. And so we were down near the bottom at the end of the descent, just before the finish line. And I'd been there every year since 2009. So this was 2014 once again. So 5 years after I had ever done the initial course. So I knew the course really, really well. So I was coming out of this tree line after this pretty steep drop, and I turned around just to look, just to tell him something. Like, I forgot what I even said. It, once again, it's kind of irrelevant. Like, oh, that was easier than I thought, or something. And I looked back forward in front of me, and right in front of my wheel, there was literally a jump that had never been there before. And it wasn't a big one. It was about a 1 foot jump. But the thing with it is it was a gap jump. So it was literally like there was a gap in between. So you hit this jump, and obviously you had to clear the gap and land on the other side. Yep. I was not prepared for this thing at all. Like, I didn't set up where I just literally my front wheel was hitting it as I was looking back forward. So I literally just kind of like stiffed this thing, and my back wheel just absolutely cased the other side of this ramp on the other side. Right. And my back wheel just went right over my head, and I literally went face first into a rock hard berm, and absolutely knocked myself out right in front of a Red Bull camera, of all things. I didn't know that until later, the Red Bull thing, but literally just knocked myself out. And I use this term ragdoll. I went ragdoll. Like, I literally just had, slammed my head into the dirt and just totally blacked out instantly. Man. So I remember waking up, and I remember him literally dragging me off the course. Dave was like a shorter, stocky guy. He was pretty strong. So, I was bigger than him and taller, but I remember him literally yanking me off the course. And then he just threw me in the bushes, just literally just threw me in the bushes, and just grabbed my bike and just kind of dragged it off the course. And I remember his big beak in my face going, "You have to get down the mountain. You have to get down the mountain." And I'm like, what? I was like literally like talking through cotton. And I smashed my helmet all to hell. Needless to say, I did not race the race that next day, but I was so bummed because it was like my A race. Yeah. It would almost be like you training for, I know a lot of your listeners do a lot of Ironmans. Some of you guys do 5 or 6 Ironmans a year. I don't know how you do it, but just imagine you had one Ironman that you were training for all year. It was your A
race. Yeah.
And I trained all year for this thing, and then literally the day before, you crash, and you just know that you're going to just be watching the next day. You're just going to be a spectator, and it broke.
Never mind your face. I mean,
oh yeah, and the thing was, it took me a month to get back on my bike, to even look at my damn bike. I mean, I just left it with the handlebars twisted and everything. I didn't do a damn thing with it. I didn't even clean it off. I didn't even want to know anything about biking. At that time, I worked at a bike shop.
I was going to say, luckily you have a bike shop, but you didn't.
Exactly. Yeah, I worked at another bike shop at the time. Obviously, I didn't bike shop in 2014 like I do now, but it was one of those experiences where I'm like, man, do I even want to do this anymore? Like, can I do this?
Yeah.
And it put a lot of doubt into my head that, I was like, maybe I shouldn't be racing. Maybe I'm not cut out for racing. And that was the thing, is I wasn't even racing at the time. It was just an accident. So to kind of get back to your thing about, crashing on the road. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've had experiences on the road where I've almost hit deer.
Yeah.
I've hit little kits before, little fox kits that broke my heart. The thing squealed like crazy. I've hit countless squirrels, skunks. Oh my God, the skunk was terrible. I mean, So, all sorts of different things, and anything can happen. I mean, you could just, somebody could blast you. It's texting. So that's kind of why I stick to mountain biking a lot. If I crash. Yeah, if I crash, it's typically my fault. The tree didn't reach out and grab me. I hit the damn tree.
Yeah.
So that's the thing about road biking is it might not be your fault that you crash.
Sure.
Like I said, somebody might hit you. You might hit a squirrel. You go over the handlebars. I mean, I've almost hit cats before and everything else. So I've had way more close calls on road bikes, but I've had more significant crashes on mountain because that's what I race.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people get concerned with crash. I mean, I watch like the Lionel Sanders channel. I know he had a couple of car accidents on his bike, and he trains almost exclusively indoors now. Other than trying to get out just to get the handling, you have to, if you train indoors all the time, you got to get the handling back down. But I ride, my wife will not let me ride the streets. She won't let me ride the roads. It's like, I got to find trails. We have plenty of them around here, so it's good. But, man, it's certainly a concern, but yeah, I feel like, you find the safest place that you can do it. Obviously with mountain biking, you're I think now, is it the racing that you like, or do you like the thrill of the, of the danger sometimes?
I think I like it all. And, the thing I think a lot of people can actually relate with this next statement I'm going to make is you kind of do it for family, and not like your dad or your mother or your brother or anything like that. But these people that you meet at any event, they just become like your racing family. You end up, you might not live by any of them. I mean, a lot of my good friends don't even live around me at all. But I see them maybe 10 times a year. And when we show up, it's like you catch up with these people. And like I said, they're like your racing family. Yep. You share the passion with them. They do the same exact thing as you, and they love it. And I think that's the thing I love most. Of course, I do love to go fast on my mountain bike. I mean, obviously I wouldn't just go down there for family and just be like, oh, I wonder what these other people are doing, crashing their bikes and stuff. But, it's just, they, like I said, it just becomes this community of people that do the same exact thing.
Yep.
As you.
And I mean, sure. That's how you got here. I mean, I rode with Matt in Lake Placid, and then he hooked. That's how this thing works. It's funny. Like you meet people out on the road or out on the bike, and then the next thing you know, years later, you're still talking, meeting up, all that good stuff.
Exactly. Now I got Matt into mountain bike racing, which he likes it quite a bit. I mean, he went down to Long Island with me, and we did the 6-hour race with me.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
He did a race not long before that, but it was a very short race. And I think he just was like, well, I have all this Ironman training, I have all this endurance training. Why not try a pretty long event? 6 hours is not really a short event.
No.
It's not super long either. There's a 24-hour race that me and my girlfriend relay every year, and that's pretty cool, I gotta say. And once again, it's like your family. It's really
spend a day.
Definitely.
That's cool.
Definitely.
That's cool. So let me. I don't know if you finished that statement, but let's. What? So you're riding now, say 15, 20 years almost.
I would say even 15. Longer than that. I've been riding well over, I would say 25 years, even including the little hiatus I took in the end of high school. So because I started when I was I would say maybe 7, maybe 6 or something like that. So now I'm 36. So
was opening the store. So opening the store, was that like something that you kind of always wanted to do, that you thought like, hey, this could be a career path for me? Or was it, or just like the opportunity arise and you're like, yeah, let's do it?
Well, it was something I always wanted to do. I worked, like I said, I worked for another shop for the last 7 years up until, opening my shop in May. But it was one of those things where all the guys there, a lot of them did ride, some of them didn't, and it is what it is. But, they just didn't really want to put on, it was always like, oh, we're just selling bikes. It was the same thing every year. And I always thought to myself, I'm like, I want something more. Like I want to go to like cool events in my area. There's nothing here, literally. I mean, there was 3 shops. Now there's 4, including mine, of course. But none of them did anything as far as any community events. I mean, not a single one. Not a group ride. Not a group event. Nothing. No charity rides. All we have is this Ride for Missing Children, which is a wonderful event. But it was, and it always took place earlier in the year, and it was like usually May or June. This Ride for Missing Children would end, and a lot of people would literally put away their bikes in June. And I'm looking at these people going, what the hell? Like what is going on in this place that people are putting their bikes away even before the first day of summer? So I go, I got to do something. And of course, the owner, I'm not going to speak bad about, I'm not going to say his name, but he's burnt out. He doesn't want anything to do with it. Yeah. So, and he was always like, well, if you want to do it, then you do it. And I'm saying to myself, well, I'm doing all this work. I have your kit on and you don't care. Like there was a disconnect there.
Yeah.
It kind of just frustrated me that he was just kind of like, go around touting my name, but I'm not actually going to do anything. And I'm sure as hell not going to pay you. So it kind of just made me a little upset, that he didn't really care, but he was just kind of taking from the community, just kind of like, oh yeah, I'll take your money and I'll sell you bikes, but I'm not going to do anything fun and have fun with them. Go find your own event. So that was kind of the point of opening my shop. It's a Trek store, but it's not all about Trek. I mean, I do love Trek bikes. That's all I own is Trek bikes, other than the one I'm sitting next to on my trainer, which is a Giant, but I'm actually sitting next to my Zwift setup right now. So, so it just, like I said, it doesn't have everything to do with Trek bikes. Like I said, I do love Trek, but I just wanted to open the store to do fun events. I want to put on races. Our group ride series last year, we had about 15 rides. They're always free. We want people to show up. And it's always free food, free beer. I mean, people think I'm crazy, but
wow.
I'm about
to drive out there.
Yeah, please do. I'd love to have you. I mean, I'd have a beer with you. But we do several rides in one day, so we know that a lot of people aren't going to want to do 70 miles. Sure. I mean, I get it. Like a lot of your viewers or your the podcast. People who are listening to the podcast are going, oh, 70 miles, that's not very much. And it's really not, but you have to think of your recreational cyclist that, that has never even done a 20-mile ride. And they think of, 70 miles. They're like, you people are crazy. So, we'll
it's
have.
It's not even the leg pain. It's not the endurance. It's the chafing, man. It's the, it's that pressure on if you're not used to that bike seat, man, oof. That's going to be 70 miles is a big rude awakening.
Oh, exactly. And our biggest ride was 142, and that was our Saranac to Saranac event. And then, we had a couple other rides that were, around the 100-mile. We had one that, I actually got lost on my own ride, and everybody else somehow found the right route. And I ended up going to Phoenix, New York, which was like a half an hour out of the way. So I ended up doing like 121 or something. But anyways, it was super fun. And everybody had an incredible time, even though we got caught in the rain. It's like, it is what it is, and we all come back to the shop. And like I said, there's free beer. I'm never short on beer. Anybody that stops into my shop, you get offered a coffee, a water, or a beer. And it's always free. Here, have a beer.
I'm surprised you don't have like 100 people in that shop.
I know you would think so, and nobody abuses it. Nobody comes in.
No one comes in and just like sits there and gets hammered, and then.
Oh, exactly. I really wouldn't allow that to happen. Right. I mean, I don't. also, I don't want people to come in and have 5 beers and then be like, "Hey, this $10,000 bike looks good. I'll
Let me
buy
take that for a spin," right?
Yeah, right. But then they end up buying it, and then they bring it back the next day, and they're like, "I don't even know what I was thinking."
Exactly.
So I don't want to take advantage.
One of my favorite things about Lake Placid is on Ironman weekend is driving through town and seeing like the $10,000 bikes on $2,000 cars.
Oh, that's so common.
It's just great.
Oh my God, my best picture ever was I have my old Subaru. It was an '02 Subaru, and the thing was worth like $1,500. And I had my girlfriend's S-Works on her car, on my car. And I had my like $9,000, all triple X'd out mountain bike on it. And I'm like, well, I got $20,000 in bikes on a $1,500 car. It's a great picture. It really is. But yeah,
exactly. It's always a fun vision.
Oh, exactly. Right. Like this old car with these brand spanking new high end bikes on top. It's great.
It's hilarious.
These Iron Man and everything are just absolute like scenes. They really are. There's millions of dollars of bikes there, and it's just the caliber of athletes is just amazing. It really is.
Yeah. So I see. So I got to tell you, I'm impressed with the with the story about opening the shop and sort of getting the community involved. I think I think that's a winning strategy. I think people who look beyond sort of the the buy sell and are willing to give you the experience along with it, I think that's kind of like going the extra mile, which I think fits in really well with sort of like my next topic, which is like I said, we're a running podcast for the most part, and I have gone into triathlon a little more than I ever expected, but I am by no means a bicycle expert at all, but the thing is, especially now, making friends with Matt and Jacob Polzin, another guy, now I have to ride the bike every single day, or else they get mad at me and they make fun of. They don't really make fun of me. They don't make fun of, but it's sort of like that nice peer pressure, It's like when they're bugging you to ride, you're like, oh, leave me alone, and then you do it, and you're like, oh, I'm glad that I'm glad they did.
Me and annoy the crap out of me. Absolutely.
so I wind up posting a lot of my rides, especially now we're indoors on Zwift, and it's really easy to just wake up in the morning, jump on the bike, and go. And I'm posting all my rides, and I'm getting a lot of questions about people who are like, man, you guys are really enjoying this. It looks like something that maybe I'd like to do too. And they ask me like, how do I get started and how do I do all that stuff? When someone very new, totally green to cycling, walks into the shop, what is your approach as a bike shop owner? What walk me through a little bit of the this is what is involved if you want to get involved in cycling.
Yeah, so the biggest thing that I try to get right is the style of bike. So first, I kind of go through like an interview with them. So I'll ask them many questions, things like, where do you want to ride? Because like you just said, a lot of them are green and they really don't know what they like. So, you ask them what interests them. Hey, would you like gravel? Would you like a canal path? Would you like road? Do you have friends that ride? What do they ride? What kind of mileage? Do you have any goals? What kind of mileage are you looking to do for this goal? And you try to just get a feel for what they want out of cycling. And that's very important because a lot of shops will just say, oh, here's a bike. Here's our best selling bike. It's a dual sport. It kind of does a little bit of everything. Here you go. Have a nice day. And they'll kind of just sell them whatever they want, or whatever they feel like they should have. But I try to go a step further and just ask them a lot of questions. And some of them will even stop and say, what are you getting at? And I'm like, well, I just want to make sure that I'm selling you the right product. Because if I don't sell you the right product, if I fail in this initial interview, we'll call it, then you are not going to like cycling as much as I absolutely love it. So, I want everybody to love cycling as much as I do. So it's very important that first we pick the right style of bike. So if somebody was like I said, just coming in, saying, hey, I just want to do, 10, 15 miles max. That's all I ever want to do. I want to ride around the neighborhood with my kids. Maybe I'll take these bikes camping and, they'll do some rocky, or some gravel, kind of just trail. Nothing steep, no treacherous crap. I'll sell them a basic bike, but like I said, I really listen, and you kind of have to just make sure that you're hitting all the bases. And usually I'll try to show them two different styles of bikes, just to kind of give them a feel. And really, I won't say anything good or bad about either one. I'll just tell them kind of like what it's for. Like this one might be good for comfort. It's not great for gravel, but it rolls fast on the road. And this one might be good. It's got knobbier tires, got disc brakes, but it fits more like a mountain bike, not as comfortable. Like what are the things you're looking to get out of cycling? And how do you want to feel on the bike? Are you looking more for comfort, or are you looking for something that can tackle a rock garden every once in a while? So, you really have to kind of feel them out. And like I said, that's very important in the initial, the first impression is to just, get that down pat, because if you don't, and you end up selling them the wrong bike, then of course they're going to tell everybody that, you picked them the wrong bike,
Yeah.
So, so that's what it's about.
I think that's, it's funny because I asked the question, but, I'm kind of reminded of when, I used to ride my bike everywhere when I was a kid. We had access, we had local roads with sidewalks, and, it was like your parents would sketch out like a little triangle or a square on a map and say, all right, you can't go beyond this street. You can't go, and you'd ride all within there. And then when I got older, it was like, all right, I just wanted a comfortable ride to be able to kind of just go down the path and, go a couple miles and come back. I wasn't even looking for really exercise. And the guy sold me like a nice, inexpensive bike that kind of was comfortable. And, now, but, and it's good that he did that, because I enjoyed riding the way that I wanted to ride. And it gave me, it wasn't a road bike, racing bike or anything like that. That would have not been what I wanted at the time. But if you sell the person the wrong bike, and then they go out and they, and they spend too much money on a bike, and so you sell them a road bike that's, $5,000 road bike, and then he decides that he wants to ride mountain bike. Well, he doesn't have enough money to buy the mountain bike now or something like that. And it could put them off.
They'll be fine.
But
you're totally.
Yeah, you just want to give them that gateway to cycling.
Exactly. And like I said, I have a passion for cycling, and I want other people to feel what I feel. So when they're, bombing down a rock garden or just bombing down a road in general, I want them to feel that feeling of freedom, that they're out on two wheels. It's just them and their bike. It's all leg power. There's no motor involved, or anything like that. And that's just, like I said, that's just like, I get a kick out of that. I absolutely love it. I've been doing it forever, and it never gets old, ever. I could ride the same trail day after day and I'll still love it.
So for someone new coming into the shop, and I'm just going to kind of, again, go back to that a little bit, but, one of the things that I used to walk into these stores, and, there's 3 or 4 kids fixing bikes, speaking their own language, wearing grungy clothes. And I was intimidated to join the conversation because I didn't know anything. So there's an intimidation factor, I think, there for some people, taking those first few steps into a bike store to get a bike, because you don't know anything and you're really trusting people who, you don't know, and they don't speak your language. So is there anything that you do to sort of, when someone walks in the shop, that you don't know? Is it like do you acknowledge that it can be somewhat intimidating to a new person?
Oh, absolutely. To give you an idea, when you walk into our store, we have all of our flagship bikes, right? For that wow factor. You walk in, you literally see a custom painted Madone sitting there. It's all tricked out. It's got SRAM, axis on it. It's got their new 12 speed.
I just bought one of those on Zwift, by the way. I'm riding that now.
Oh, nice. I did see you
Level
riding
20,
it. I did. That's right. That's where it's at. We got the same bike now. It's the same red. So you walk in and you see these high-end bikes, and of course we have, everything has a price tag on it in our store, and they're nice price tags, and they say, they say the price right on them. And one of, this particular bike that I'm talking about is 14 grand.
Yeah.
So, they walk in and they see this bike and they're like, holy crap, $14,000 for a bike.
Yeah.
And, and it's not to scare people. It's beautiful. Oh my God, it's a Project One custom painted bike. Like I said, SRAM axis on it, carbon wheels, carbon everything. But it's not to scare people. It's to show people that is like like what is possible, and it is to kind of to wow people, just to show them what's out there. Because a lot of people are only exposed to these Walmart level bikes, and we get those people that come in too, which is nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying, to shop at Walmart, you're trash, or anything, but, their bikes aren't highest quality, but they come in and they'll say, hey, I'm looking to spend $100, and they'll look at this $14,000 bike and they're like, where the hell am I? And then they go further down the wall and there's a $5,000 bike, there's a $7,000 bike. We got a speed concept in there, which of course, is their Aero TT bike. And that one's all.
You're already out of my language here, but I'm just nodding. I'm nodding to the camera like I know what you're talking about.
So it's just a custom painted bike.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So what we do, so people, we have a rule of thumb at our store, where we try to go by it anyways, and it's 10 steps or 10 seconds. So you walk in, you take 10 steps to look around, and I will greet you. Even if I'm with another customer, I'll throw up my arm. I'll say, hey, welcome. Go ahead and look around. I'll be right with you. So they'll kind of look around a little bit. And I always give them a couple minutes after that initial greeting to kind of, I don't want to overwhelm them and say, hey, what are you doing here or anything like that. So then I'll walk up to them and I say, hey, how you doing? And they're like, good. I've never really had many people say bad, but nobody really says bad, but, they'll say good. And, they'll start I'll let them kind of break the ice. And I won't start off with any technical mumbo jumbo is what I call it. Because like you said, if you're green, and I kind of treat a lot of people like they're green, even if they're not, I won't, when I'm showing a bike, I never, ever start talking about the technical tidbits. Like, oh, this is a 1x drivetrain with a dropper seat post and hydraulic disc brakes.
Right.
To a lot of people, even a lot of experienced cyclists, they don't even know what I'm talking about. They're like, a 1x drivetrain? Like, what is there? One gear? Is that a single speed? I know of those. With the coaster brake, like, is that what you're talking about? So, it's you kind of point to the stuff, and you kind of just hey, this is a really cool bike, and you can kind of co-shop with them, so to make them feel at home. You kind of go to a bike and you kind of go over to them and be like, oh, this is a sweet bike, man. I love the color. This is a great bike for this. You know what I mean? So once again, you don't touch on the 1x drivetrain, the air fork and shock. Who cares? Really, who cares? The customer already kind of has a working idea of what they're looking at in a way. Like, for instance, if you're looking at a road bike and then you're looking at an aggressive mountain bike, the person's going to see that one bike has really wide tires and they're knobby, and the other one has slicks on it and they're really skinny. Most people, even if they're totally green, they're going to be like, oh, well, obviously that one's an off-road bike. So once again, you kind of just show them the obvious stuff. And then I go into where I ride and why I like to ride, so it really excites them to feel that passion that I have, and say, and they want to, nobody's going to be like, I don't want to have fun. Who's going to say that? Really? Even if you're having a bad day, you're not going to be like, oh, fun is overrated. Who wants to have fun? So I share in my passion. I say, this is where I ride. This is why I love it. And they're going to say, hey, I want to have that fun too. How do I do that? How do I get to that fun level that you're experiencing? So, if it involves taking a customer out on a bike that we have in stock that's brand new and clean, I don't care. Let's just get them out there and experience that. Yep. So once again, with the greenhorns, to get back to your original question,
unless it's the $14,000 bike, then
exactly. I mean, there's going to be those people that come in and they know what they want. Right. They go, I want the Doan SLR 6. With the triple X wheels, and boom, you're not even going to even have to talk about it, because you're just like, all right, here's the price.
I'll tell you what, I bet there are people that are really good cyclists that don't really know anything about the technical aspects of the bike, of the actual mechanical makeup of the bike. They just know how to ride.
Like definitely, like one of my good friends, Jordan, who races for our shop. He's actually a UCI level pro. He's probably, honest to God, like one of the top, I would say top 100, but he's probably more like top 50 in the country. Wow. I mean, he's insanely fast. But he knows diddly squat about what he's riding. I mean, I could sell him a Walmart bike and tell him it's the fanciest thing that Trek has ever put out. Of course, he would call BS on me because he'd be like, "Well, this isn't carbon." I'd be like, "Oh, there you go. You actually figured that out." But yeah, I mean, I always break his balls because he really doesn't know what the hell he's. There was one day we were doing the Black Fly Challenge and I showed up and he goes, "There's something wrong with my bike," and he thought it was the bottom bracket. I literally ended up ordering him new bearings for his bottom bracket, which is the bearings that the crank actually rides on. So that's like obviously when you move your cranks around, that's what makes it smooth is the bearings. So he kept telling me, and this was a brand new bike, mind you, he's had it for like a week, and he says to me, "I think my bottom bracket's bad. My bottom bracket's bad." Of course, he lives out in Albany and over an hour away. So of course, I warranted him a bottom bracket. And come to find out, it was his chain catcher. Now, the chain catcher is inboard of the crankset that catches the chain off the little chain ring in case your mechanic doesn't know how to, tune a front derailleur, or if you just accidentally shift the front and rear derailleur at the same time. It's that, it's that little piece. It's on, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. That little piece that catches the chain, right, and it stops it from landing directly on your carbon frame on the inside.
Gotcha.
So he keeps telling me his bottom bracket is bad. So literally I show up to this race, and this was last year at the Black Fly, and he goes, "Here, ride my bike around." So I rode it around. And I looked at his chain catcher and I go, "Oh, your chain catcher is just rubbing on the chain." He goes, "How do I fix that?" So in front of like 100 people, I take his $5,000 bike and I just literally just kicked the hell out of it. I mean, I just slammed it with my foot, and people are looking at me, and I'm like, "What? I'm giving it a tune-up, and I fixed this thing with my foot." About 15 minutes before this race, and it was just absolutely hilarious. I think he finished like 8th overall out of like 920 people, just to give you an idea of how good he really is. Yeah. He had a bad race too. He actually set the course record for mountain bike a couple of years ago. Wow. But yeah, so it was just hilarious. So there are those people that have no idea what they're talking about, and they've been riding for 30 years, and they're like, "I don't even know what I ride," So sorry about that story. It was very long.
No, you're good. You're good. So. What am I thinking here? So if I'm one of my listeners, and I'm saying, all these guys on Zwift, I see them having a good time. It's middle of winter, and I hate running outside anyway. I'd rather be inside. If they walk into your store and said, "Hey, how much is it going to cost me to get onto Zwift?" What would you steer them towards? Would you steer them towards just an inexpensive bike and a nice trainer, or they even have those? This is how well versed I'm at it. Is they even have like just the trainer only, right? It's like not even a bike. It's just a big setup that you can just. It's almost like its own Peloton sort of thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. How would you? I mean, if that's what a customer wanted, how would you kind of steer them that way?
So, so first it's a big thing is it's winter training. So I myself, for instance, to use myself, I would way rather buy a $4,000 or $5,000 or hell $10,000 bike for the summer for outdoor riding rather than spend $500 on a trainer for indoor use. Because let's face it, Zwift is fun, but it's not like riding outside with your buddies. It's not like riding.
But it is in January, February, and it's like when I won't even take and even going by the guy I said before, that Lionel Sanders guy, the Ironman, that he just trains indoors. It can be a lot of fun.
It actually. I find it fun. There's people that despise it.
There are.
I was talking to a guy yesterday. He goes, "I can't believe you actually do that." Owner of a shop. I despise Zwift. I'd rather be out on my fat bike any time of the year. So those people. But once again, to get back to your question about somebody that comes into the store and asks about Zwifting in general, and they go, "What's Zwift? I don't understand it. because a lot of them will look at even a base model trainer, a smart trainer, and they'll look at it and say $500 for a Ceres M2 Magnum 2, wheel on trainer, or a Wahoo Kicker Snap. Once again, $500. And so.
That's I think the cheap end, right? I mean, that's like not. I mean, you can't get a smart trainer for much less than that.
You really can't. I mean, there's I think there's one called the Tax Vortex that's about $370. But once again, it's not once again, but it's limited to what it can do. So it has a very low, basically like peak wattage, which is 800. Which is pretty low. I mean, you and I can definitely do over 800 watts in a sprint without a doubt. So,
I'm close. I know Matt's over 1,000 watts sometimes. I think, honestly, I think my Zwift, my high is probably like high 700s. I've never really tested it so much, but I probably could hit it if I really wanted. Sure, I could.
You just have to twist. You have to turn your bars into a pretzel is what you have to do. Just hammer the hell out of the bike. You'll definitely do it. You're
going to make me try this later on, actually.
You're going to have to do it today. We're going to have to get on right after this and do it. I'm actually going to get on in Zwift after this. But yeah, so, it's all about budget too, because, a lot of people, they look at, like I said, the $500 trainer and they're like, holy crap, $500 for a trainer. And then what else do I have? And then you say, well, you do have to, you got to have a bike, which most people do. But still, it's like you have to have other equipment like either a laptop or, a Mac or, Apple TV. You have
iPad,
to have,
it works too. But you have to just, it depends on what you want to do. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, because I have a friend that uses it with his iPhone, and he literally just bought one of those the cables that hook into the bottom of the iPhone, and then it turns into an HDMI on the other end, and he plugs it into his TV. So he's able to, so you can use it with an iPhone and all that. But the people who are Android users like myself, who don't have a laptop or don't have an Apple TV, they look at this and they go, well, it's $500 for this trainer that you speak of. And then it's another $170 for an Apple 4K TV or Apple TV in general. I think they're around $150. I just bought one for the shop not long ago. So now all of a sudden they're into $650 just in the Apple TV and trainer plus tax, of course. So, they're in this $700 range, and they look at it and they're like, wow, that's a lot of money. I have a car payment coming up. I have car insurance. I have cell phone bills. I have a house. I have a mortgage.
And Zwift is a monthly service too. So as on top of that, you got to pay $15-$20 a month for that.
Exactly. It's much cheaper than your Peloton by leaps and bounds. Yeah. And I still don't understand why those are so popular, but that's another topic, I guess. But
I do have a theory. Don't. My theory is that the cyclists, the people who are really into cycling, they're on Zwift, they're on their trainer. They, those are the training pro. The people who go to the gym and like the bike at the gym or do the spin class, I think those are the Peloton. That's the Peloton crowd, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't know many cyclists that go, "Ooh, I got a Peloton." I love my Peloton.
Right, and that's totally true. I have a couple friends who have Pelotons.
Yep. And
I have used them. I used them when they first came out. When my girlfriend went to a conference in Jersey City, I went to a Hyatt house. This beautiful sprawling gym they had.
Yeah.
And they had a couple Pelotons there. So this is, like I said, this was like 3-4 years ago when they first came out, and I tried one, and it was cool. But it was like you had to go by this person that's on the screen. She's like, stand up, sit down, shake your arms, shake your ass. I don't, I'm like, I was just like, okay, and at the end I was like, well, I did get a good workout, but I don't know. It was missing something. And still to this day, I can't put my finger on it. But when I ride with like Matt or you guys, I mean, that one night I rode with you, when Matt's computer died or whatever the hell happened.
Sure it did.
I think it was an excuse. Yeah. Yeah, Matt, we're calling you out. I think you just couldn't hang that night. Anyways, but it was one of those things where it's just you feel like, I don't know, you're still riding with that other person. Maybe you were at home, I was at home, but I could draft off you, I could slingshot you. It's just like riding outside, except you're not outside. And that's the thing I really love about Zwift is, there's that competitive edge. I love doing the races.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the races. I mean, your tongue's hanging out of your mouth. I mean, I don't think I've had more than 2 races out of the 50 or 60 I've done on Zwift where I haven't dry heaved at the end of the race.
That's a good sales point.
Oh, absolutely. I'm literally, my girlfriend like, laughing at me. Now she's on Zwift, but, she's laughing at me. And she goes, God, you put on such a show when you Zwift. And I'm like, yeah, but it does so much for you. I mean, holy crap. I took off 16 minutes off my last year's Black Fly Challenge just by using Zwift. Yep. And so, I mean, if that isn't an endorsement, I don't know.
It's a great training tool. I feel, I've been cycling now 3 years, and yet last year was the first year I had Zwift, and I used it religiously. And, a lot of people aren't going to know what FTP is, but my FTP went from 200 to 236 or something like that, which is a big gain from, in 6 months or whatever it was. So, I am with you there, and it gets addicting.
It really does. And like I said, those events, like the races, they have the Tour de Zwift is coming up or something like, I can't remember.
And that's kind of social, but those two, even the social rides, you start out, you're like, all right, I'm not going to race this one. I'm not, right. You do this all the time, I'm sure.
Exactly.
I'm just going to ride easy. And then by the end you're dying. You're like, why did I race it?
Exactly. It's funny because a lot of these group rides, these social rides that you just call the social rides, they start off as like a 2 watts per kilogram. And for you that don't know what 2 watts per kilogram is, it's basically, it's rather low. I mean, it's definitely not pushing it super hard. But you'll start off at 2.0 watts per kilogram, and then all of a sudden, the last 20 minutes they go, all right, everybody behind the wall, and you're like, what? And all of a sudden they're like, go, and everybody's sprinting for 20 minutes, and you're like, I thought this was a damn social ride, and all of a sudden we're sprinting, you're like, okay, whatever. And like you said, you can't help but get involved. You see all these people. Exactly. You see all these people start sprinting away from you, and you're like, well, I don't want to be back here. I don't want to be last. Who wants to be last? Even if you're really not competitive, you don't want to be last.
Right.
So
that's true.
And then, and it makes you feel good when you win a bunch sprint, or even if you get like a top 5 out of like 100 or something, you're like, wow, I did really good.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you don't even know you have it in you.
Right.
You're like, oh, I don't feel very good today. And all of a sudden you'll have one of your best rides ever, just because of that social camaraderie. And you don't even know anybody you're riding with half the time. But it's just one of those things where you just have to try to keep up with, this Sally Jones from Australia. I don't even know who she is, but sure, I want to try to keep up with her, and I'll ride with her, and we'll kind of give each other little waves and ride-ons and stuff like that.
And it's fun. And then what happens afterwards? Then you wind up following that person through the system, and then you get on a couple weeks later and you see, hey, that person's riding, or it's kind of I don't know. It's fun. It's fun. It's social.
It motivates you more because you see all of these other people on all the time, and you're like, man, I should be on all the time. They seem like
right.
cyclists. I want to be fast like them, So then you just ride more and more, and then all of a sudden you on the first day of spring when it's 45 degrees out, and you're like, I'm going to throw on a little jacket and go out for a ride. You're like, wow, I'm an animal. You're getting personal best on times, and holy crap, the Zwift really, really does work. So and that's what you kind of have to tell people. Right there, like that conversation that we just had back and forth, that's what a customer has to experience when you tell them about Zwift.
Right,
and of course, we're a Zwift experience dealer, so we have all the demos running. We have all of our trainers on display with bikes on them. So, you come into the store, you can jump on any single one and just start pedaling, and they go. So it's that thing that, it's you try before you buy. And there are other ways to get on Zwift without spending $500 on a trainer. And a lot of people don't know this, is you could take a dumb trainer, what I call a dumb trainer. It's, a Cyclops fluid trainer, or a Kurt Kinetic, or, rock and roll, or something like that. And so you could take a dumb trainer a non-smart trainer that plugs into the
and
wall.
the difference from what I understand, the difference is really it's just how it connects to the computer. And I know some of them now. It's also has to do with I know. So my trainer, when you hit a hill, right, it gives you that pushback, right?
Exactly.
And a dumb trainer will not do that.
It will not, but your avatar will slow down on the screen.
Right, it'll slow on the hills. So if you're going 150 watts and you're on the flat, you're going 18 miles an hour, but then you hit a hill, you're still pushing 150 watts. You don't feel any different, but your guy's going 3 miles an hour.
Exactly. So what I always tell people who want to go with the quote-unquote dumb trainer is they will have to kind of preemptively ramp up their wattage before they hit that hill. So, obviously it's the opposite of what you and I do on our smart trainers, where we gear down, we go into a lower, easier gear to go up the hills. With the people that have the dumb trainers, they'll have to gear up like they're going down a hill. So it's not intuitive like it is for us. So it's the opposite. So, that's what I tell people though. I go, you can spend less money. However, you won't have that experience, and that's the biggest thing. And that's like what I want people to experience at the shop when they come and jump on Zwift, throw their leg over a bike on one of our smart trainers, is I want them to hit a hill. So I purposely always put the demos on the hills. So I purposely make them have to shift down. And they go, oh, I actually have to shift on this? I didn't know that. So that's what a lot of people don't understand with Zwift is just like riding outside, except you're not outside. Literally, you have to gear up, you have to gear down, you have to ride the bike exactly like you do outdoors. But with the dumb trainer, it is the opposite. So you do lose that outdoor effect where, when you go up a hill, you actually have to gear up on a dumb trainer. So once again, you don't have that same experience, but not everybody has $500, $700, $1,000 to spend on a smart trainer. And I get it, so if they have a dumb trainer automatically, like right now, if they already have one, then all they have to do is buy a speed and cadence sensor and boom, all of a sudden they're hooked up to Zwift. So for $70 plus the $15 fee for Zwift, all of a sudden they're on Zwift for $100.
Yeah, and you get the social aspects, which I think are wonderful, and all that great peer pressure of having to, to join your friends on rides. But you also, we had one person in our group ride the other day who was on a dumb trainer, and she was asking why was she going up the hill and getting slower, and it's just what, you're riding. You're here. You're riding. It's, you're doing it. So what's the difference? Just ride the bike.
Definitely. I just ride the damn bike. That's
just ride the bike. It doesn't matter. So let me ask you this. Do you guys, you said you're talking about how you get involved a lot in the community and you do a lot of rides out of the shop. Do you do any group rides on Zwift?
I have started. So I don't know if I actually invited you to one.
Yeah, this was my segue for you. This was how I'm getting you. You like that? It was kind of smooth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, so you totally rejected my group ride invite.
I couldn't do it that night, but yeah, I did.
Yeah, sure. No. So, so we are doing some group rides. We've had 2 so far, and I would like to do more. Of course, they were kind of just betas. So they have features in the meetups. So because you've already created one, so you kind of know what it is. And they have this one feature. It's called Keep Everyone Together. And it's what I kind of call the rubber band feature. Yep. So for instance, we did our first group ride and I had the rubber band feature on, this Keep Everyone Together feature enabled. And I was putting out 50 watts. And I had a friend who was riding with me. He put out 11 watts per kilogram, which was, I don't know, I think 700 or 800 watts or something. And he couldn't leave me. So the thing that was cool was everyone stayed together. So if you do have fast riders in the group, they can't leave the slower riders. However, one of the guys that was riding with us, he ended up kind of going slower and slower and slower. And I don't know if he was tired or not. But and he actually made the comment at some point was, I can go as slow as I want and you guys can't leave.
Can't leave.
Yeah, and we kind of just, we kind of LOL'd it, but at the same time, it kind of made me
It's
think.
a problem. Yeah, it's a problem.
It is a problem because you can just ride, 25% and say hell with it and just kind of tootle along, and everybody else is getting a good workout where you're not really getting, you're not getting that advantage. You're not really gaining anything just by kind of putzing around.
Yep.
So then we had another ride 2 days later where I took that keep everyone together feature off. And I personally liked it better because nobody could kind of goof off. Like everybody was like, oh my God, that was so hard. And I was like, well, good. That's exactly what I want. I want you to suffer. Sorry. If you don't suffer, if you don't feel pain, you're never going to get better. Yeah. Really, you're not going to, your physical fitness is not going to get any better.
But with that feature, like if they were really fast, they would go ahead, they'd be 2 miles ahead, right? I mean, they could potentially be like, but what I liked about that, and what happened was, so when we did our group ride, we all kind of we tried to stick together on our own, and it worked. There was just 4 of us, so it wasn't that many. But we were able to kind of stick together, and it was kind of fun to do that too. You go up a hill and someone goes a little ahead and someone falls off the back, and it was a crowded course. So there were tons of riders, and we didn't really know where so then you have to kind of regroup after. And it was interesting. It was fun. But even if someone went ahead, you're all in the same chat room together. So it doesn't matter really. It doesn't really, it's like, all right, if you really want to get a good workout in and you think everyone else is dragging you back, go for it. You're still in the group. You're still in the group.
Exactly.
So I kind of do like that method a little bit better. I'm going to be messing around with both of them myself, though. Like you said, just to kind of get a feel and see, maybe we just mix it up here and there. Cause we're doing Thursday night rides. Thursday night, 6:30. If you want in, let me know. You're in there. You're in there too. You're on the invite list.
Oh yeah, I saw. I mean, the only thing that's hard is I of course I closed the shop at 7.
I think as long as people aren't saying, look, the invite's annoying me. Like take me off, exactly. It's annoying me.
I am going to join. So I am actually going to start. I'm going to try to do the rides from now. Your rides. Just because I love it. I actually love it. And I love that you guys do that. So it's one of the things
I think it's really cool. Yeah. I think it's,
Yeah.
And if you, obviously, and I'll do yours as well. And this time I won't accept and then not show up.
Don't worry. There was a lot of people that accepted. Yeah. And we had like people show up and I'm like, what the heck?
You know what though? I think it's our experience from the last couple of weeks. It's been fun. And it's the kind of thing that I think if it's fun and you keep it light and you keep it productive, people are just going to join it and people are just going to keep coming. We had a bunch of people who were interested that just couldn't make it that day that, then they saw how much fun we had and now they want to come to the next one. So I think, especially for a guy who runs a store or a guy who has a podcast, who has a running team, and wants to do something like that, like it's just a great way to kind of just grow, to grow the business, to grow the team, to grow the,
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And if you guys want to basically friend me on Zwift, my name is Jason Remington once again. I mean, I know he announced my name at the begining, but it says Trek New Hartford after my name. So it'll be really easy for you to find the right Jason Remington.
Yep.
Just so you know. Cool. So feel free to friend me on Zwift.
Yeah, and get involved in Jason's group ride and my group ride too. So listen, I kept you here for a long time already. I know we're like well over an hour here.
I can talk forever. Yeah, listen.
Matt warned me. Matt, I was like, he's gonna talk. I'm like, all right.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep, I'm a talker. I am. I don't shut up. I feel bad for people who get stuck at the shop sometimes. I try to cut it short, but sometimes I just chat.
Doesn't work, huh?
Mostly. Yeah.
No wonder why you can't close the store on time.
I know, right? I'm there drinking beers with people until 8 sometimes,
But listen, Jason, I thank you so much for coming and spending time with us on the show. Thanks for answering all my questions and sharing your experiences, and wish you best luck with the store.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's been really fun.
Cool. And did I miss anything? Do you have any social media contacts or any kind of anything that we need to let people be aware of? Or a Facebook group or something?
Yeah, I mean, our Trek New Hartford page, it's called Trek Store of New Hartford Facebook page. Obviously, the Facebook page isn't part of the name. And then we do have the group ride page, which is the Trek New Hartford group rides. So if you don't live around me, you could still join both of those pages and kind of follow along because we are having a Speed for Spring program. And basically what that is we have a pro coach out of Lake Placid, New York. His name is Patrick Carey, and he's the owner of Speed Science Coaching. And he's going to be doing, in fact, Jacob Polson signed up for this. He's going to be doing the Speed for Spring program in conjunction with us. So really what it is a 12-week program. We're going to have 3 group rides, basically like ramped up group rides every week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 p.m., and then an optional group ride on Sundays. And really, it's just basically like a be your best for 2020 type of program. So he's an actual Ironman certified and USA Cycling certified coach. And I actually race against this guy in the New York State Mountain Bike Race Series and other events. And the guy is a rocket ship. He practices what he preaches. So yeah, Patrick Carey's, and if he's listening to this, yeah, you're actually a really good coach, and we're super happy to have him aboard for our Speed for Spring program. And anybody that lives in any other state, you don't have to live around here to be involved. Like I said, it's $50.
It's got a virtual aspect, kind of.
It is, yeah. It's virtual coaching. Yep. Very similar to like what GC coaching does. But what we're offering is more of a one-on-one as well. So literally you can message them at any time, and ask them questions. And like I said, it's going to be 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 p.m. And those are going to be the rides that are really going to ramp up and get you ready for spring. So it's an incredible program. Of course, it's going to be on Zwift. So you will have to have Zwift to be involved, but a lot of people do have Zwift now. So it's kind of one of those things that we're trying to get into the modern era here, and get away from the dumb trainers, just kind of staring into space. So, that's one thing I do want to tell people. If you want to look up more about it, you can go on our Trek Store of New Hartford Facebook page. I actually posted a video yesterday. My brother made a really cool video. If you want to check that out, it'll tell you a little bit more about it. And
he's the marketing guy.
He's our marketing guy. He made an awesome video. Of course, it was weird for me because he was taking all these videos of me, but he did an incredible job. And there's all sorts of information on our Facebook page about the Speed for Spring program. Cool. So, I'd really like for people to be involved. I tell people like it is, I'm not making anything off of it. I'm really not. It's not something, I'm like, I'm just trying to make thousands off of this. I'm really, really just trying to get people ready for spring. Really, that's what it's about. So if you want to check it out, if you want to message me, go ahead.
Yeah,
send me a message.
Matt actually sent it to me the other day too. I'm gonna take a look at it myself too. Yeah.
He did. Yeah. Go ahead and look into it if you want. It's an awesome program. I'm actually going to do it myself.
I'll tell you what too. Is it if it's online and I can find it, if I can find the post or something, I'll link to it when I post the podcast as well. So if anyone's watching it on YouTube or on getting the link through our website, you can hopefully find it down somewhere in here and click on it and take a look.
Absolutely. Yeah. We posted a major post on December 30th. So if you look on our page from that date, you'll see the Speed for Spring program. It'll have all the info. It has the sign up link and everything for it.
Excellent. Once again, thanks again, Jason, for coming on, and wish you the best of luck. Hopefully I get out there one day and we can check out the store.
Definitely. Maybe we can go for a ride. Even if you don't bring a bike, I have one for you.
Right. That's true. If not, I'm sure I'll see you on Zwift.
Sounds great, Scott.
Awesome. All right, we're going to wrap it up there for today. I got a few great guests lined up for the next few weeks. Looking forward to talking to all these guys. But until then, always remember, I can't even remember my tagline. Every day is an ordinary day unless you make it extraordinary. So get after it, guys.